Hey, it's UvaldeRadio.net. It's Robert Miguel. Hey, we are got a special guest on the phone, Uvalde, and a Uvalde native who's back in town, Mr. Thomas Steigerwald. Howdy, sir.
Hello.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Now you've got a big show tonight, a free concert at the Uvalde Grand Opera House. This is going to be a treat. From what I understand, Thomas, you've done this thing several times over the years, and I want to say your brother's done something like this too. You've got a musical family from here in town. Let's quickly let's go through the details as far as the concert tonight, and then we're going to talk all about your musical career and your upbringing here in Uvalde. But the show is tonight, Friday evening at the Uvalde Grand Opera House, 104 West North Street. And what are we going to expect there?
So it'll be at 7 o'clock, and it's free admission. I'll be playing a concerto along with Jason Schlichting on second piano for the entire second half of the program. The first half will be me playing solo piano.
Well, that's awesome. Fantastic. 7 p.m. About how long will the program last total?
It'll be between an hour and 15, an hour and a half.
Right on. All right. Very good. Again, free admission. So this is going to be a treat to kick off the brand new year here in Uvalde. Again, we're talking to Thomas Steigerwald, pianist. And you have got, sir, I've got a one sheet in front of me here, but you have got a resume a mile long. So instead of trying to act like I know all about these really cool titles that you've got and all these distinctions you've earned, why don't you give us kind of the 101 on Thomas Steigerwald, pianist, and let us know what you've already accomplished in your young years.
So I grew up here learning piano in Uvalde and traveling to San Antonio for lessons with Kenneth Thompson for about 12 years before going to college. And I went to college up in New York. I went to Eastman and Julliard for my bachelor's and master's.
Wow.
And then for the last couple of years, I've been in Miami playing with the New World Symphony. And throughout that time, I've done lots of competing and playing with orchestras during the summers. I've played in Colorado, and I've played in San Antonio. And I've traveled to China and done concerts in China with a violist named Brett Dubner. We've traveled twice for a full month each time, and went to different cities throughout China. We did 18 cities our first year and then 20 cities the second year.
I mean, this is fantastic stuff, man. And I'm not trying to be rude, but how old are you, if you don't mind?
26 years old.
26 years old. You've seen more of the world than I have. You are an outstanding young man, sir. This is fantastic. And it's so cool because you're from right here in Uvalde, right? So I'm like most, I guess, regular folk. I know that I hear the word Julliard and I go, oh, I know that's a big old fancy artistic music school, you know? But for those who don't really know, what's that experience like? I mean, getting out there, you got a master of musicianship. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. So while I was there getting my master's in piano performance, I studied things like music theory and music history and listening to old recordings of famous pianists back in the early 1900s. And studying letters written between composers and what they had to say about their music. And so doing historical kind of study, and then also getting exposed to current big musicians of the world who all come through New York City and perform with the Julliard Orchestra or give coachings or master classes at the Julliard School.
I mean, it's fantastic. I'm sure that there is just a huge, long list of who's who that came out of Julliard, right? You want to name drop a few of those people?
Well, the current people that work there that have the biggest names are Emmanuel Axe and Robert McDonald. So getting to work with those two elderly pianists was a big inspiration. They had such a wealth of knowledge, and they knew so well how to shape music making. It was really great to learn from them.
Now let's go ahead. Now, obviously, you're very accomplished, in your studies and pursuit. But let's talk about, again, born in Uvalde, you come from right here in the 78801. What on earth, as a young kid in Uvalde, got you involved in music, piano playing, and then later becoming basically a world-class musician? How did that happen from right here in Uvalde?
For me, it was mostly inspiration from my brother. So my older brother, Peter, was 7 years older than me, and he started piano before I was even born. So I was always growing up listening to somebody play piano or us singing together as a family, and I always loved it. And when I turned 5, I asked Mom if I could start playing piano. I asked it for my birthday present. Can I start learning piano too? I want to be like Peter. it just went from there, and I always loved it.
Now, I don't want to be a naysayer in any way, but I feel like, I was in band, and I did choir in school, and whatnot. I think that the vast majority of us that study any kind of music kind of know in the back of our minds that, it's going to stop, once we get out of high school. At what point did you realize, hey, this is going to be my life? This is going to be, this is what I'm going to live and breathe for the rest of my days? Apparently, it seems like.
Well, there wasn't really a singular point because it always seemed that way.
Okay.
My mom tells a story of when I was quite young, so within a few weeks of starting piano, I was sitting at church listening to my older brother play, and so I was 5 and he was 12, and I leaned over and tugged on my mom's sleeve and said, I'm going to take his job when I grow up. I just always wanted to play, and it was never really far from my mind that I would keep playing all the time.
What a fantastic story. You're playing in China, you're playing New York with huge symphonies, and you started here in town, and from what I understand, you played church, like you played the piano and organ in churches around here, right?
Yeah, I played for Baptist Temple, First Baptist, Episcopal Church, and the Lutheran Church.
So for those of folks who are like me, who were born and raised here, and I moved away to the Metroplex, came back, a few years ago. What kind of, what era would we might have seen you, tickling the keys in one of the churches around here?
So that would have been from my ages of 10 to 18, so 2003 to 2011.
Wow. Did these churches, organizations, did they realize the asset that they had, the talent they had there? Did you feel, I'm sure you felt appreciated, but was everybody just, I can't even imagine a musician of your caliber, performing at a church on any given Sunday, so to speak.
I think everybody appreciated it very much. I was always happy to share, and there's always lots of love and excitement about music whenever I got to play.
So obviously you've done some remarkable things world over, but when it comes down to Uvalde here in town, what's a really great memory you have performing here, to your city?
Well, I've performed at the Opera House many times. I started out doing benefit concerts for the El Progreso Memorial Library, and I did those once or twice a year all throughout my high school years. So I've given a lot of performances, so the memories sort of run together. But the thing about all of those performances that I love the most is just how much everybody loves the music and loves to receive it and stays afterward to talk to me about it, and you can see their eyes light up, and everybody's just so happy to be there. And I love sharing my joy of music with everybody else who gets to hear.
No, again, yeah, this is world-class performance, here in just a small Southwest Texas town, and we are so blessed that your talent, was, basically created and nurtured and, here. And it's so cool that I love to see people that are from here. There's a thing about Uvalde, and I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. A lot of our high school graduates leave and never come back, but I think it's so fantastic when, like they say, people come, they leave and they come back and bring porridge to the porch, and, you're sharing your talent, but not only that, your inspiration, I'm sure, for, future Uvaldians here in town. My 13-year-old daughter is ecstatic about seeing you perform, because I've explained to her, who you are and what you're doing. We saw some samples, online, and it's like, wow, this is fantastic. This is world-class entertainment performance. So, thank you so much, first of all, as somebody that really tries to do my best to support the arts. This is exciting. It's so exciting, and I cannot stress the importance of how important it is for those who would like to just kind of get a little bit of culture, to be entertained, just to see what exactly the great things that come. Everybody talks about Matthew McConaughey, but please, this is awesome. You know what I mean? So I really do appreciate it. So what, for those of us who aren't as cultured, don't know this song, the titles of these fantastic composers and these pieces, give us a little idea of what the performance would be like, kind of in layman's terms.
So I'm going to do a couple of pieces by Russian composers. The big piece that I'm playing with Jason Schlichting will be a piece by Scriabin. And then another couple of pieces I'll do are by Rachmaninoff, who was living in the same era as Scriabin, maybe a little bit older. So those are the two Russian composers. Then I'm going to do a couple of French composers' pieces, and these pieces are more picturesque. So the two pieces by Ravel that I'm going to play, one is based on the sounds of sad birds So there's different bird calls heard throughout the piece. And then the other piece by him is called Valley of the Bells. And so everything sounds like different chimes or bells being played. And then I'll play some American pieces as well, most notably the banjo, which is a really fun, exciting piece.
Wow, very cool. Yeah, it sounds like a little bit of everything. And what's preparation for you? I mean, I'm sure you're just kind of practicing and playing all the time. What's a day in the life for Thomas Steigerwald, pianist?
Well, a day in life, I love to exercise and eat a lot and play piano. It's basically all I do. Of course, here this couple of weeks in Texas, I've been here for the winter break for Christmas and New Year's, and I've been having fun hanging out with friends and riding horses and playing board games and eating awesome food. And so that's a bit of a break from my normal schedule. So I'm playing a little less piano nowadays, but I'm having a lot of fun. It's good to be back home. Love it here in Uvalde.
Now I've got to know this. I mean, from out of the mind of a musician, obviously, again, you're world class. Music has to be something that is just in you through and through. Like whenever you hear a jingle on a commercial, when you hear a pop song on the radio, when you hear, whatever it is, elevator music, I'm sure that your ear is fine tuned to pay attention to all of that. What kind of music outside of the classical, and symphonic type stuff, do you find yourself listening to, or is it all just the good stuff, the serious stuff?
Mostly I don't turn on anything to listen to myself, but I always love hearing pretty much anything that anybody else puts on. If I'm riding in the car, listening to the radio, or somebody else's car and listening to their playlist, or walking through the store, if I'm hearing music, whether it's hip-hop or country or sacred or rap or anything, it gets me excited. I just love hearing music. I like all of it. So
tell me this, are there any particular artists, let's just say we've got a teenager listening right now, or even, an adult that's, again, like I said, like myself, a little less cultured, I don't know the names of all the fancy composers, but is there ever just been an artist or maybe a pop culture piece where you kind of, as a master musician, you hear it and you go, man, that is a great piece. Like that's something, you know what I mean? Something that's just a little bit more highbrow than maybe you would even think it would be. Have you ever just heard something like that and gone, oh man, that's actually, that's really good writing, or that's a really,
Yeah, for sure. The two popular bands that I love the most, or that catch my ear the most, are Coldplay and 21 Pilots. I really love the way they put songs together, especially 21 Pilots. They go for a lot of different genres. Sometimes they'll switch between genres within a single piece, and I always find their transitions really tantalizing and exciting.
Well, again, we've been talking to Thomas Steigerwald here, Steigerwald, pianist, performing tonight, 7 p.m. at the Uvalde Grand Opera House. This is a free concert, so if you're listening to this broadcast, I want you to text everybody, call everybody, get on Facebook, get on Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is you use, but just get out there and spread the word. Again, a free show at the Opera House. Now, tell us how you guys can make this possible. And I think your family puts this together, right? Every now and again when you come through town?
Yeah, we just contact the Opera House, see when they have a free evening, and let them know that we want to rent it for a unticketed performance. And then we just get the piano tuned up and get ready to go. We print out our programs and try to publicize it a bit, let friends know, and see what kind of crowd we can get.
Well, again, it's going to be at 7 o'clock tonight. Thomas Steigerwald. It's going to be a fantastic show. Can't wait for it. Tell me, Thomas, what's in the future? Are you going to keep kind of riding this for a while? More studies? Do you eventually want to, is there something kind of at the end of the tunnel that you're striving for? Or are you just kind of living it, day by day?
It's a little bit day by day. I know I'm going to have a couple more years in Miami playing with New World Symphony. And it's sort of an orchestral academy, so it's half professional, half studies. It's no longer so much schoolwork or essay writing or anything like that for classes. There's no professors, but we're an orchestral academy performing every week as if we're professional, with a lot of chamber music performances as well, so there's a lot for me to do as a pianist, even if I'm not on all of the orchestra concerts. So that'll keep happening for a couple of years, and after that, we'll see.
Well, now, I read somewhere that you've done some lessons as well, too. What's that like? Do you love teaching? Is that something you'd ever consider?
Yeah, I like teaching. I don't want it to be a full-time thing right now, because I aim to keep playing and performing. So I don't. So my brother Peter, he teaches in San Antonio, and he has over 50 students. And he does a great job teaching so many people. But for me, I love teaching intermittently. It's fun to share and help other people learn. But I also want to have time to keep traveling and performing.
Now, for those listening at home who might go to the show tonight and see you and go, man, that's really cool. Maybe they're young, they're impressionable, and they're hungry for this kind of music. Give us a short list of like the must-knows, whether it's composers or musicians. Tell us a few of your personal favorites that you just think people need to hear and you think will be really impressive.
So my favorite composers are... Well, I love the Russian late Romantic era, so people like Rachmaninoff and Scriabin and Prokofiev. But other great composers to listen to are a couple of German composers like Bach or Brahms. And then the French composers, Debussy and Ravel, all have beautiful, beautiful music. And then as far as names today, a couple of the superstar pianists that are very exciting to hear always, no matter what they play, are Yuja Wang and Long Long, and one of my favorites is Evgeny Kissin, and he's a really interesting guy. The other guys are sort of superstars. He's more introverted and very focused on music at all times of the day, it seems. And then as far as learning, if you live in the Uvalde area, I can recommend Jason Swickley as a teacher. And
very good. One quick thing before we wrap it on up here. Is there somebody that you'd like to share the stage with, perform with, or maybe a venue that you would really like to play at?
It would be amazing to play in Carnegie Hall. It would be really cool to do some two-piano stuff with a legend like Martha Argerich. I don't know how much longer she's going to be around, but I've seen recordings of her playing two-piano music, and it would be amazing to play with her.
Well, very good, man. Again, we've been talking to Thomas Steigerwald here. The show is tonight at the Uvalde Grand Opera House, 104 West North Street. I cannot stress enough, this is a free show, so do not just put on your fancy pants, and if you don't have any, come as you are. Thank you, Thomas, for spending some time with us, man. It is so cool to see, again, a young, successful Uvaldean coming back here and sharing your success with us, and hopefully inspiring a bunch of future musicians in the Uvalde County. So I'm looking so forward to seeing you tonight, man. Thank you so much. Hey, you know what? I got a link to some of your music, so I'm going to play a little segment of something you got here. I don't think I can play the whole thing because these are pretty long items, I know. But let me see which one I had here. I think I had something from Rachmaninoff. It's about 10 minutes long. It's the middle one. Do you want to give me some information about that?
So this performance was while I was in Colorado this past summer. I played with the National Repertory Orchestra and performed this 40-minute long concerto, and it was a really, really great experience for me and for everybody there.
Well, right on. We're going to hear some of it right here, right now. Again, talking to Thomas Steigerwald, pianist, tonight, 7 p.m., Uvalde Grand Opera House. Here's a little sample of what you're going to hear this evening. And again, it's a free show. Do not miss it. Thank you, Thomas, man. We appreciate you. God bless you.
Thanks very much for having me.
This is Uvalde Radio.